It's my privilege to welcome Mrs. Bharti Prem, the speaker of this session. She is an architect, graduate from University Visvesvaraya College of Engineering, Bangalore from the year 1995, is one of the leading architects promoting green buildings and sustainable structures, and is a lead accredited professional from USGBC. She, along with her husband Prem Kumar, heads their firm Bharti Prem Associates at Banshankari 3rd Stage, Bangalore. In her more than 2 decades of practice, they have designed various residentials, institutes, resorts, hospitals, etc. Also a visiting faculty at various schools of architecture and has given presentations on green buildings at various institutions. She is the recipient of IGN 2012 Top 50 Architects of India, International Property Awards for Public Spaces in Asia Pacific region, Buildtech 2018 Award for the project Pyramid Valley International on Kanagapura Road, Bangalore, Smart Cities 2019 Award. Various projects have been featured in many leading architectural journals such as Indian Architect and Builder, Society Interiors, Journal of Indian Institute of Architects, Architect and Interiors, Architect Updates, Interior Design, Better Interiors, India Art and Design, Design, Vijay Times, and various television channels. We are welcoming you, ma'am. Please start up the session.
Thank you, Rajlakshmi. Good morning to all. Thank you, Principal Sir and the Vice Principal Shankar Sir, and thank you, Manjunath, ICI Chairman. It's very wonderful to be with you all and address you people and share my experience and knowledge about the construction, the impact of construction, environment, technology on our environment. It's a very good morning to all of you. I'll just share the slide with me. I hope I'm audible clearly.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. I've shared the slide. Is it clear, visible? Is the slide visible? Energy and environmental design. I did it from US Green Building Council. This advocates green building, the certificate of green buildings, how it has to be, what it has to be, why we have to construct green building. I'm going to share things on this. Before that, let me introduce myself, about my company, what I am doing, how I started my architecture profession and all that. I passed out in the year 1995 from UVC, University Visvesvaraya College of Engineering. And then I worked under Jai Singh. Jai Singh was the one architect, a very good professor who advocates green building before it was introduced in India or in Bangalore. During those times, he was the one who has been promoting a lot of earthly, eco-friendly materials. Though, like many people didn't know about it. They didn't know about the clay blocks or the woody blocks, Palyapatnam blocks. He was the person who said that you can design buildings beautifully, create new things out of these materials. And he was the one who introduced all these things in Bangalore. So he was a great influencer for me. I've been influenced and inspired by him a lot. This is how I entered the green building. This thing. So once when I was working under him, I felt that yes, this way buildings needs to be. It's not just construct building, like design something and then just construct out of technology, whatever is there. We need to be sensitive to our surroundings. We need to take care of our environment. This is how I started my journey in sustainable buildings. So then I worked for Mr. Architect Satya Prakash Architect. They were also promoting green building construction. Even their buildings were eco-friendly. At that time, we always used to say just eco-friendly buildings. Green building is very much later. It has come very much later, maybe 20 years down the line. But before that, we always used to say eco-friendly buildings. Mr. Architect Satya Prakash in his firm and I was working we used to give more importance on being sensitive to the nature. We're going to the field, going to the site, study the earth, how it is, study the surroundings, study what the terrain of the structure is, the terrain of the site is, what best can be done, where we can position our building, what is the best way we can use the natural resources without harming them. All these were there. We were introduced to that when I entered architecture, when I just completed my architecture. So this has instilled in my nature, and whenever I do it, people whether they say it has to be green building or not, I imply all these things, I imply all these concepts, then blend all these concepts in my building. That's the way I can think further. For me, it is not like green building is different, designing a structure is different, or designing any commercial building is different. I try to imply all these materials and then these concepts when I start designing. So after this, then in the year 2000, I started my own firm along with my husband Prem Kumar. He is a civil engineer. He is a civil engineer and passed out of VIT. Together, we have been doing this company from the year 2000. We started Bharti Prem Associates, and once when we started this our firm, we have our vision was to create harmonious building holistic spaces for our clients so that they become happy and they become productive in using that. It's not just for constructing a building or for commercial purpose or for making money. Of course it is there. Everyone has to make money in the business, but while doing so also we can create in an harmonious way. And my main thing was to capture the spiritual essence of the place wherever we are constructing, either be it a small residence in a 2030 or a big bungalow in a 10,000 square feet, be it anything. Just see the surroundings, see what the client needs, develop the concept around that, and then create a program for the whole this thing, so that whole project, so that the client becomes very happy using those spaces. So our main vision has been to transcend the solution in establishing the integrity between the built and the unbuilt form, and then creating the human and user friendly spaces, adopting all the earthly materials and the various materials what we have. In this regard, I want to just show you a few of the projects, one of the few main projects of what we have done in that Pyramid Valley International on Kanakpura Road in Bangalore. It's just 28 kilometers from the city of Bangalore. This has been designed by us on a 28 acres campus. This is on Kanakpura Road, just 3 kilometers before we touch Aravali. The site is such that it is surrounded by a lot of rocks and hillocks in the surrounding, and there is a valley in the center. This is where the whole site has been demarcated, and the whole pyramid and along with other facilities has been constructed. So you can see this is a meditation center with the main pyramid being the meditation space for meditating. Pyramid, why pyramid? Because according to the Pyramid Spiritual Society movement founder Mr. Patriji sir, what he says was, meditating under the pyramid, you get lot of energy. More energy you get it, and it helps us in advance to the meditative state very fast. So that's how this developed. So this being structure with lot of energy. So pyramid is the main focus of this center, spiritual center. This has been located in a central space in a silent zone, and surrounding that, lot of people do visit this, lot of international travelers do visit this. So to provide facilities for these people, we have various facilities like the cafeteria. The cafeteria is there, then the conference halls are there, then the accommodation blocks are there, and then library we have, and then lot of recreational spaces so that people can spread around and then be this thing. So this is a layout plan. So this site is totally of terrain. It's not a flat land, as you can see. All it's surrounded by on all sides by logs, and all it's like you can see it's a forest next to this. In this midst, without disturbing the nature, how we have developed the program. Like if you see the old campus, you can see that it's the most almost we have constructed around 2 lakh square feet of structure on this land, but you can't make out as it is hidden, and we have used the natural terrain of the land. So this is as we enter, we have defined into different zones. This being the public zone where we have the parking lot, and then the room block here, dormitories are there. This is a dormitory block, then the toilet block, the conference block, then the dining, the cafeteria, then cottages, and then few more cottages there. So basically what we wanted to use was make this structure so close to nature using eco-friendly building materials. What we have used mainly is the red brick, exposed brick work, then the exposed concrete work, then harvest the rain in the valley, because from the hillock we get all the water entering, rainwater is being collected in this center river valley, pond valley. So this is our lake body also. We have a huge lake body. It flows from here, connects here, and the water is stored here. This acts as our rainwater harvesting pit. So these are the few things around the pyramid. And I'm very happy to say that for a 100 feet span, we have designed a bamboo bridge. This is a bamboo bridge which connects from the residential area to the pyramid, main pyramid in a pyramid. And this is one of the biggest structures. And then we have this pagoda cottages, Zen gardens surrounding this. So this is the bamboo bridge, supposed to be like for 150 feet span, 150 span, and then even the arches, it's totally supported by bamboo. The arches and the whole thing, this was done in coordination with Vaibhav Kale, again a bamboo expert. And then the cottages, what we have done again here is the pagoda style cottages. Here also we didn't want to have a major impact on the earth, on the footprint of, we had wanted to reduce the footprint. So we wanted to build the structures light, and we wanted that to be a part where people just connect, they sit there, contemplate, be one with the nature, and then connect with the pyramid, main pyramid, where they can, so that it's a silent zone. People get meditative as soon as they stay there. They don't have to go to pyramid and sit for meditation. Wherever they sit, all spots are energized. So all our energy spots. You can just blend with the nature and then do it. So again, you can see here we have used a lot of exposed brickwork, and then the gradient, the soil gradient, we have used the gradient in the levels are used like that. It's not that we have dug up this whole earth and made it into a flat bed and then do it. We have used it, we retained the soil by the pitching of the stones again without water, and allowing the water also to filter inside. And again, all our structures are such that you enter a semi-open space, you enter through an open space, then connect through a semi-open veranda, and then connect to inside to the closed thing. So the whole inside and outside is integrated totally. There's a flow between synchronic flow between the outdoor space, the semi-indoor space, and then the inside space. Most of our structures are like this, and the material palette what we have used is also the exposed brickwork, and then which is available locally there. Then here for this curved slab we have gone for use the ferrocement technology with MS section supporting frames, then the mesh, and then putting a thin layer of concrete over that. This is how we have done that. And then even for flooring, we have just used this Andhra Tandoor stones, which are very, very and then we have used for even for the landscaping, we have used the Sadrali stone what we get nearby
Ma'am,
locally.
sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
ma'am. Couldn't see.
Any human being to feel like he has to connect with the nature as well, then he feels very happy because nature is one thing. Nature has so many elements like the rocks, the trees, the stones, be it the water body or anything. It can be anything. So any like each person connects with different things. So when a person and a human or a habitat is given like a link, a connection between the built structure and then the outdoor unbuilt spaces, he will definitely be happy in that. Always is he will have an elevated state of thinking, elevated state of emotion. He feels very happy. Does cannot get like cannot be depressed in a nature because nature is something like that. That is why I always feel that we need to connect inbuilt environment with the unbuilt spaces. Main thing, like what I had to do it in the also connect the four cottages to here next to the other. So each area and then the two are connected by. So this lot of people can interact. Just come out, contemplate seeing the pyramid. On the other side of the pyramid, with a Shiva statue place. This is one more structure, the cafeteria. Semicircular pattern is there is a collecting lake body here. So like we wanted to take it along the lake, then give a provide structure so the arch on the height is an up water valley connecting, and then this is up side or on other lot of approach with the vehicle or with the can approach through a bridge with the steps. We have constructed the welcome this an indoor space, outdoor space, and then totally provided terrain. We have got theater seating with stone dry masonry center totally covers that space. So this structure is also done again. We have used exposed bricks. Then here we have used pillar slab where the use of concrete reduces, use of steel reduces, as well as the structure remains cooler during the daytime. And then the flooring again we have used, since this had to be maintained very efficiently, we have used the vitrified tiles for the flooring and then clay jali blocks. So the feel of these materials is what adds the value to this building. It's just an open space, nothing else I have done. Here there's the brickwork and then the exposed roofing, and then like we have given one window which opens, big window which opens out to the pyramid. And even the steps climbing up the steps, when we climb up, it is done with the rough stones which are just placed like that, how we place it in a well. So all these things, it's not just simple construction. nothing much, and design wise also very simple, but I've not even cut even one single tree here, so that the building has been turned like that also, so that the trees, all the trees are accommodated. That's how as it has been done. So people also feel very happy and elated using these spaces. They connect very well, be the youngsters or the old people. They are love to sit in here and then spend their time. Another build structure what we did here was this conference hall. This is a conference hall with halls of 3 halls are there with varied sizes. One in the lower floor, one main hall which accommodates around 250 people, and then one for 30 people and one for 100 people. This is how we have done. In the lower level, below the pyramid structure, we have a huge conference hall where 250 people can sit and for the conference, for a conference. And then here also again, this structure, what we have done was, bottom we have gone with the RCC structure because the span is very huge. RCC column structure, and the top where we wanted the pyramid, we have gone for this sandwich puff material. That is this, it's a sandwich material. The DI sheet on top with the insulation, and then the another inner under layer of the sheet. So how we have made this efficient is, the ground floor we have an RCC structure where in this hall we have around 250 people where they can sit, and above that, that is below the pyramid, we have a hall for 100 people. And then this veranda, like we needed a reception block for this. So we connected another block, which again we have played with the levels here, so that we wanted this block to welcome people, transcend their emotions, and then enter the conference hall. This was our thought and philosophy when we started this building. Again, here the terrain of the place is like a lot of levels are there. How we have used it is just get the walkway, make the walkway longer, and then create, as the level decreases, just create the steps. All these steps are created with brick, and even this landing is covered with brick. And we have used the rocks, available rocks there. We have not cut any of the trees. We have used it. Wherever the tree comes, we used to take a turn, like turn it around, make the pathway. And again, this is also wheelchair friendly also, because there is a level where you can enter with a ramp. A ramp is provided. You can enter the reception and the conference hall at a higher level very easily. This is how we have done. And again, jali blocks for the parapet wall makes it very airy and makes it breathable. And we have done a long reception table with again cement and concrete. This is exposed, and we have left it exposed, polished and exposed. That's also one of the beautiful elements in this reception block. Again, this is one more block which interests me a lot, because there's a lot of level difference between the back side and the front portion of this building. The back side this is the back portion, rear portion of the building, which opens out to the car parking lot. The parking lot is much lower, very much lower. There's a huge difference, and this is the road where we approach the front side of the building. So there is a terrain difference of almost level difference of around 3 meters between this road and then the rear side road. So hence, like when we said that we wanted a dormitory block in levels, I said we will use this place. We decided this place is very much suitable, because you can't make out that there is one floor already existing here. And then you can always construct the other one, and this building doesn't, though it's a very big block, it doesn't hit our eye. It just merges with the nature. Here again we have used arches, exposed brickwork, and we have played with the bricks, like projecting it out further and out, which acts as a window shade for the windows, and then wherever we need ventilation near the stairs and all, we have used a lot of clay jali blocks which helps in the air circulation. So all these clay jali blocks along the staircase helps in the air circulation, and there are bridge and open spaces, enough light, very well ventilated, enough light spaces is available, and people can just mingle along with them, so along with others in these corridors, open corridors, which has benches. Again, the material palette is fatherly stone, exposed brickwork, and exposed concrete. We have minimized the plastering. We have kept all the ceiling exposed in this block. This is one of the nice, very recently added and very well received block. This is accommodation block of 60 rooms, and the scale is very high. It's a luxurious room. That is what, like, we have various ranges of accommodation provided in Pyramid Valley. A simple room, then dormitories, and this being little luxurious kind of uh, accommodation block rooms. Yeah, why? Because a lot of various category of people do come here for their spiritual journey. So this was also constructed here also. How we located this plan and designed this is, we had avenue of trees. These coconut trees were there. So we planned in between these coconut trees without cutting those coconut trees. That's how this structure has come. So we had to have a rectangular block in between two avenues of coconut trees. Again, we have used a lot of, again, this is a column structure, RCC column structure with exposed brickwork. Then natural landscape. Again, here also we have used the levels. This being in a lower level, this in a higher level building. And yeah, that's how we have used it. And a lot of open space in the center. The court which acts as an energetic point between all the blocks. And this court is the one which makes the building invisible. Otherwise, we would have been just building. We would have just seen structures filled with structures. Whereas these trees and the open core adds to this things, making this more usable and more connected. Again, here also we have used the level difference. The back side of this, rear side of this, opens out to a landscaped area. I don't know if I have a picture of that. Yeah, I think it's here. I'll show you. Yeah, the rear side of the building. This is the rear side portion of the building. Rear side building. Here again it opens out to a landscaped garden. You can see the garden is at a higher level. This is our building. So what we have used is, there are rocks. We have used the rocks, retained the rocks like that, and we have just landscaped that whole area, and all these are paved with bricks. All these areas are paved with bricks, and we have just separated each room from the other rooms with this dry masonry stone block which were available there, and the trees also we have left like that, retained like that. This is just for the security, because all the wild animals may enter. That is how we have provided, why we have provided the grills. And it's a very beautifully used thing. The levels have been used very beautifully. And inside has been done again. We have wanted to keep it natural. Huge granite slabs have been used for the toilet partitions. And then for the behind the headboard, we have used the slate stones. So the grey and the black monotony theme is what we have followed. Even this is vitrified tiles and the grey granite, steel grey granite, the matte finish, and then the slate stone is what we have. This is a small video of this. Let me see if I can just run this. This is because Again, here what we have used is we have used a new technology like GI frames for all the classrooms, GI frames, and then cover it, panel it with cement fiber boards, and even the roof is done like that. So the whole structure is a GI frame structure, which I'll be talking to you little later about new technologies of the construction. This is one more nice project which we have done. This is in ERCOT. This is supposed to be the cottages. Here it's these cottages are constructed on a coffee estate, where the terrain will be too high. It is too steep. As it is a coffee estate, the coffee grows in a very hilly areas, and ERCOT is also one of the place like that. It's a very beautiful, very picturesque place. Here we have designed and constructed cottages. These cottages are designed on stilts. They are using the MS frames, and then for the walling we have used cement fiber boards with insulation in the center, and roofing again is with a lightweight cement fiber board, and then on shingles, bitumen shingles is what we have used as the top covering, so that the construction is faster and more efficient, and for a traditional kind of construction in this place, it would have taken much labor. It would have been much laborious as well as very expensive, because to carry material from one place to other place, it's too difficult. This is the So what we have done is we have created a baseboard, the flooring board with all the MS members, then used this heavy duty cement fiber board for the flooring, and then for the roofing also we have used the double layer of heavy duty cement fiber with insulation in the center. Even for the walls, it is like a cement fiber board with insulation in the center, and over the top we have covered it with bitumen shingles. This is how this whole cottage has been constructed. This is for green rating also we have quoted, and this is one more structure where we have used a lot of exposed brickwork, and then used all the green building principles in this, and make it more eco-friendly and closer to nature. I think you might have observed that any building which is close to nature, no, you don't get bored of it. It will be there for many years. You visit it after 20, 30 years also, you get connected with that. You don't feel for certain buildings, like when you go, you feel that no, I don't want to come here again. You don't want to go there again. But anything close, connected with the nature, where they have used efficiently of that link between the nature and the built form, so feel always that you should visit that, be with that, close to that. That's how it is. Friends, this is about few of my works. Let me go to this present topic of the present scenario, what construction technologies, what we are using, what it is happening, what it is creating to our environment. Though we are talking about green buildings since 20-30 years, but even the greenhouse gases are on the rise. It is not reducing it. Why? Why is all this happening? What is happening? What are we doing to our earth, and what are we doing to our surroundings? As we all know, as we all are from construction industry, and as we all know that construction is the major factor which is causing like carbon 2 emissions or the greenhouse gases. Why is this happening? What is this? Are we not? We are being like more. We are like more number of engineers, more number of architects in the present age than in the past scenario. Why are we not able to contact what is happening? What we are doing on what we are doing for the earth. See, the real estate, the fixed estate on the earth is already fixed. You can't, like, we go on cutting the vegetation, the forest, increasing our land, increasing, like, say, we want more built environment, we want more of, we are constructing on sea, riverbed, because we are advanced human beings. We have developed the technology. We want to go touch there. Okay, let's do that, but let's not pollute it. Let's do it in a proper way. Let us give a importance so that we don't pollute the air, nor the water, nor the surrounding, nor the forest, not cut the forest. Let us grow back the forest. Let us have some technologies which are eco-friendly, and that's how the green building concept is increasing in the last 20-30 years. So what is happening? What are we doing? Why the construction material are making such environmental impact? Why? Because we all the materials presently available, or we are using the natural resources what is available to us, surrounding us. Like the topsoil is used for brick constructions, and then before the government banned using that, till that time we have been using the topsoil for the bricks, and then for firing the bricks we are using lot of precious energy. So what we are doing is burning the fossil fuels, taking the material from the surrounding earth, then concrete being one of the major usage, like concrete is used in large number, huge quantity all over the world as a building material. It is second, as Mr. Manjunath said, that it is the material which is most used next to water on the earth. So it is like, why? Why do we use? Because concrete is more malleable, like you can mold it to any shape. It is easily available. It is cheaper compared to other things. But lot of technology and advancement is happening in concrete. It's not just the concrete what we used to get previously. Various people, or the lot of cement companies are doing research on this and getting out green concrete, green cement, using the fly ash, the slag, and the self-healing concrete, or many other additives they are using and making it eco-friendly, so that it doesn't emit so much of carbon, add to the so much of greenhouse gas effects, and then the fossil fuels. So these are the things why the construction technology is creating severe impact on the environment surrounding. And it is also our attitude towards, it is okay, it is my house, it's just a small house, so many people, big people are doing like that. They are wasting water, they are using the Kaveri water for construction, drinking water for construction. What is there? Nothing will happen to us. It's just a small building. It's not like that. Each of us has to be more responsible for the surroundings, and then we can reduce the impact and the pollution what we are causing to our nature. All this, like natural materials, like what we are using from the nature resources, we can't renew it back. It takes enormous time to renew it back, replenish it back, which is not possible. So I feel that cutting down on vegetation, cutting down on forest should be tried to avoid it. Like we should avoid it to the maximum extent as possible. For example, people say that they go out, they buy a plot in Western Ghats Hill or somewhere. For an example, I'm just giving scenario, and then they say they want to build a totally green building there. Good, but what was there? What was before building your structure? What is there? It's a forest land. Why do you want to go there, inhabit there? Then, you will be you will be inhabiting the wildlife, creating, and like you will be razzling their lifestyle, the wildlife lifestyle. You will be causing inconvenience to them. Going to reach there, you need to go by in your own vehicle, like burning all the fossil fuel in your car, then taking all the materials still there. Is it really worth? Why do you want to go to that forest also, use that nature also? Maybe you might construct a full eco-friendly house there, but is it really eco-friendly? You will have to ask yourself. Getting the water till there, then taking all the materials there in the transit, you will be burning you will be polluting all the thing along the way, burning lot of fossil fuel. So as far as possible, let's try to avoid it, and then Like we used to, we have to renovate the building, or if any building is there, renovate it, reuse the building instead of thinking of just demolishing it and constructing a new one. Nowadays, we see that there is a trend like after 20, 25 years, people are demolishing the old buildings and people are reconstructing it again. Actually, the material what would have gone to construct there would have lasted for 100 years, but that we are destroying it in 20 years. So again, what is happening? We are like creating the again the waste, demolition waste and everything, the material waste, everything we are dumping it, and this is also adding to our huge global impact, environmental impact, causing a lot of pollution. So let's try to avoid all this. Reduce, reuse, recycle is the mantra for efficient living, sustainable living, everything. As we all know, like 400 million tons of material, construction material is consumed every year. This contributes to 23% of air pollution, 50% of climatic change, 40% of drinking water. We use potable water. Then also we fill the lake bodies and pollute these lake bodies. And some few people like if they are closer to water bodies, they say that, and if they have construction debris, they will say they will dump it very close to this water body. They don't want to take it away and you give it in the landfill, use it in the landfill. But they want to just say that whatever is convenient for them, they use it. We have to change this attitude, the way what we think and what we do to our surroundings. So how are we, the construction material adding to the emissions, carbon dioxide emissions is like this. Starting from the acquiring the raw material. The material, people sometimes they don't want to, they say that they have power, they have money, they don't want to use the raw material here. They want something which is very, very expensive and which is not available here. They say that no, it's no problem, I will import it, whatever it is. Let it be in Italy or wherever it is. Let me import it, use it. What happens in that time, during that time, the transit, the production, we'll be burning all the fossil fuels for getting it here. But what do you need there? It may not, so that adds to the emission. Then transport, the production of it, the transport to the site, that adds to the emission. Then construction and fit out, the resources what we get, then that also adds to the emission. Operation maintenance, that also adds to the emission. All the retrofitting, everything, all these adds to the emissions. Without our knowledge, we are just adding on to this carbon dioxide emissions, CO2 emissions, without cutting down on any of these things. So these are the result of what we are seeing in the climate change and the whole everything. What is the way forward? Yes, we have been doing all this. We are everyone without our knowledge or something, like we say what is there, we'll open the shower, use the water for such longer time. Though we just need around 25 liters of water for bathing, we use around 50-100 liters for one shower. We all are doing it. It's not that I am not doing or something like that, but we all have to reduce the usage and see that this can't be forward. Right? Already we have depleted our water resources. This can't be the way forward. And in future, unless like now all of a sudden due to COVID, we have seen that when it's sealed down, everyone is in lockdown. The whole world has come to a standstill. Otherwise, every meeting we have to travel to that place, we have to travel to that destination, we have to fly there, we have to reach the airport, we have to we have to spend the fossil fuel. Then, like the same way, the whole world was moving from here till there, everywhere, throughout the world. Now the world is running, but in a different way. We are the green world. The environment is replenishing itself. We are not harming the nature. So let's try to avoid it. It's not that we have to sit in one place and do it. We have to move around and see. But maximum, let's just try to reduce it a little bit is what I am saying. It's what my thought is that it's for the environment. So the way forward is having the importance of adopting this green building technologies. Green building, what is green building first of all? See, green building is creating structures and using process that are environmentally responsible, making it very efficient, resource efficient, being in the production of the material or the life cycle of the building material. What is and then the embodied energy in producing that material and reducing the cost in construction, reducing the cost in operation and maintenance also. That's how that is called as green building technology. Of course, the green building has what it does. It reduces all the energy usage, CO2 emission, water usage, solid waste. That is, we'll be like using products which are very less, which uses very less amount of energy to make it. Where we can source from a nearby local energy, local area around us, maybe around 100 or 200 kilometer radius. Within that, we source the material, produce those material, source the raw material, and then how much energy do you need to create that, to manufacture that that building material? That also is there. And then what is the maintenance you need to do? What is the transport you have to do? All that is the embodied energy of the building. So we need to reduce the things. This is what a green building says. Apart from what this green building factors, what the rating, these are the environment and the technology what we are talking. Whereas when it comes to the rating, they have few major factors. That is how well we are taking care of the soil, the site condition, what the site conditions are available, what we are using. The site condition, what we are using, how is the site located easily with the help of mass transport? Is it built on a green site or a brownfield site? Brownfield site is a excuse me. Or am I creating a thing where everybody has to use their own private space, private vehicles to come to reach here? So all these matters are there. So a building has to be a site efficient, energy efficient, water efficient. Materially, you have to use very innovative material, and then the design of the structure. That is where we can make it more eco-friendly. How we are orienting the building, what maximizing like ventilation we are using, and the lighting we are using. So this is like the built environment has a vast impact on natural environment, on the health, human health, and the economic benefits are there. What is stopping from people to use it? You may ask that because a lot of people do question this. This is because people think that building in a green technology or using green concepts, the buildings are going to be very expensive. Actually, when you see the life cycle of the building, what you spend on operation and maintenance will be actually more in a normal building than in a green building. This on and off, the maintenance and the operation cost will be very much less in a green building. And nowadays the material, like it has, we have that due to technology, we have developed so many various materials. The cost also is on par with the normal buildings. It is just the thought and the attitude what we have to do, and the concern for the environment what we have makes us develop and adopt this green building technology. So we get improved visual amenity, enhanced microclimate, improved air quality, better soil quality, and then economic also. It reduces the building energy cost. For example, if you have a heated openings on the west side, the building gets heated, and to cool the building and to get the temperature, we have to spend a huge chemical. So all these things are there. If it's a green building, if it's designed properly, then a lot of things can it can be taken care. So even the HVAC, the mechanical maintenance cost will reduce. The building also doesn't need so much of dependence on the mechanical ventilation. And people also will be very healthy, very happy to improve work in an open space where they are connected with the nature than a closed window or a closed space. That's how it enhances that. So what you spend on a green building structure, you will recover it very, very fast. And it's very good, this thing. What are the things, the main parameters when we are designing a green building is sustainable site development. Sustainable site development means like you take care of the terrain, the levels of the soil, the vegetation, what is available on site, see that the topsoil doesn't get washed away, then store your materials properly, segregate the waste so that it doesn't mix with the topsoil, collect the topsoil separately, save it and reuse it. These are the main thing. And then now the site is approachable with the public transport. All these things we take in consider in this sustainable site development. Water saving. Water saving is how you use the grey water, recycle the grey water, then use the toilet waters after treating to the landscape areas, then using water efficient flushes and water efficient fittings. All this comes under water saving. Energy efficiency is very huge, like it has a lot of credits in this energy efficiency. How well we use the energy, like depending to maintain the ambient temperature inside the building. How well we design our daylight, how with the use of windows and the openable space, the ratio between the openable window space and the closed space. What is it? Will the daylight reaches the end of the building, or should we use lighting when we have during daytime also? All this comes under energy efficiency. Then material selection. This is also one of the important things. Material needs to be it has to be eco-friendly. Then see that the embodied energy that is preparation of this material doesn't require doesn't burn the fossil fuel, or it doesn't require more energy required, and then locally available within 500-kilometer radius, or what it is. We'll have to see all that and then select the material for what it is used, how it is used, and then the architect really needs to think during design process, planning process, how am I using this material here? Will this material be suitable for this site or this project? Has to be thought. It's not that all materials can be used in every building. You have to think the purpose of building is different. The function of buildings are all different. How well we can use all this material is one thing which the architect need to apply and then use it properly. For that they need to know the material qualities also, and indoor environmental quality. The air quality needs to be very well, the lighting, everything needs to be good. It's not that we always have to be, actually we feel depressed. In the research what they have found out is people under artificial light, their energy levels are lower compared to people who work in the daylight or in the nature. So we always need to create a balance between the indoor and the outdoor, so that the optimized capacity of the person is usable in the office environment. These are the few factors of when we design a green building, what we consider. Then again, the life cycle of a green building product is very much important, because to the manufacture that material so much of energy, actually it won't be used for so space, like so much energy spending on that is not needed. That material may not be used for so long. So what, and then is it counter energy efficiency of the building, and then is it recyclable easily, and after demolition what happens to that material? Can it be dumped or can it be recycled? What % of it can be used, or where will it go in the landfill? If it goes to the landfill, what harm it is creating? Does it release any chemical? All this we need to see. All this forms the life cycle of the building product. This is very important. So a sustainable city will have all these things usually. So a public transportation city designed for like a walkable city can be walked, like people can walk, and then energy, electric cars can be recharged, and then renewable energy in the form of solar as well as the windmills are done, and the waste reduction is very less. Water is conserved, and and then a lot of charging stations are there. This is a smart city life plan. So what is happening in the construction? So a lot of developments are happening. Many things are being used in India also. So what are these? What are these? Apart from green building, a lot of other technologies and things have been developed and used, like the artificial intelligence, and then robots, use of robots in the construction industry field, are all adding to the technology wise, where we reduce the noise pollution, the transport pollution, then lot of other things, and then reduce the impact actually what we are causing on the earth to the nature. So the choice of material, it can be smart materials, what we use, what we select. There are a lot of photovoltaic, for example, in solar, invisible solar cells are being done. You can't make out at all, but which can be stuck on any surface, be it on your windows or your roof. So all these things are adding. Also, a lot of development and research is happening in the concrete, so that it reduces the impact on the nature. Then 3D printing, building energy modeling, then AI, artificial intelligence, where then drones are used for observation in the site. You don't have to actually go visit a site which is far away, so reduce burning your fossil fuel. You can see what is happening through the drone. So people in China or people in many abroad people, US or something, before what they used to do, they were having projects in India also. So they used to come all the way from there for the inspection. Now all that is reduced by the use of drone technology. And you can always run and know where the mistake has happened or whatever it is, you can inspect through drones. So coming to the technology of future, what we are doing, what will come, what will increase. Like as right, we know that is one big problem with the construction with this present situation. Also, it has become much more tougher. So what are the future technologies what are available? So light gauge steel construction has been there for quite some time. What we are doing was what we were, it has not come to the market in maximum scale, but a lot of construction are happening through light gauge steel construction. It has been adopted in many places, even in India. It has been a lot of works are happening through this. What is this light gauge steel construction? Framing is, so this is by the cold formed steel section, thinner section of 1.5 mm or 0.75 mm, depends on the span what we are doing on that. We fabricate the whole framework of the building with this steel, and then actually do all the load bearing, non-load bearing, everything. We need to create a foundation, proper foundation for this, build it, construct it till the plinth level with the normal masonry and the concrete, and then construct this with this. The construction is faster. You don't have any like pollutants, more noise pollution is reduced, dust pollution is reduced, traveling time is reduced, labor work on site is reduced. All this can be avoided. This is a way forward technology also. We can run our electric and plumbing conduits through the thickness what was available there. This is a small video on this light. Show you light framing techniques. Mass timber construction. This mass timber construction is with the cross layer of timber, what we are using. It's not just the hardwood. It is like plywood which are pressed in different ways so that you get the engineered wood. This is called as engineered wood, where we can span huge like frames, before huge frames, huge spaces with the column and then the beam. The total structure is with wood. You can say that is this, how can this be eco-friendly? It is eco-friendly. Why? Because these are made with boards. These boards are made with fast growing trees like the bamboo, the pine and all. So a huge forest has been taken and they are growing this timber. What they have to use for this construction to make this plywood. And you may ask, like, is this is this fire resistant? Yes, it is fire resistant. As far as all the research has done, it can last for 3.5 hours. Any fire inside a building, no, of up to 1800 degree Fahrenheit, it doesn't charge the building. What happens is the exterior surface gets charged, but whereas the interior core remains proper. It does nothing will no damage will happen. And these surfaces, these buildings are also very aesthetically pleasing to look, because wood being a very nice material to see and then use it. And then is it strong? Yes, it is strong. You can build up to 5 to 8 floors again, depending on the sizes. So as the number of floors increases, the size of the beam increases, size of the column increases, the span increases also, it depends. So you'll have to calculate that and then do it. Yes, it is stronger, and it is approximately 1/5 that of comparable concrete buildings, and it reduces their foundation internal seismic forces also, and the weight also is less in this building compared to concrete buildings. Again, is it sustainable? Yes, it is sustainable because it is done with fast growing trees. So we are replacing steel with mass timber would reduce carbon dioxide emission by around 15 to 20%. So according to the research, we can do up to 15 floors. Again, this is, don't think that this is happening somewhere in abroad. Even in India, most of people have started building using this mass timber construction. In Delhi, I'll just show you an example a little later. And even the fire also, it is fire retardant. And the time consumption is also very less. They are roughly for 25% faster to construct than the concrete buildings. And all this, with advent of buildings like this and advent of technology like this, the impact on the environment is what we will be reducing. That is the major factor what we have to look at all these things. I think there's a video. I'll just show you that video. Wood mass timber construction. So you can see like the design, what it is, the curve shape and all that they are doing this. So it is the way forward. This technology is the thing what we have to look forward, what we have to adopt, and what is coming up in the future. So again, lot of innovation is happening on the material. This Emcrete is one thing which has taken the whole world by surprise, and a very nice material, how the material is surprised. Here in India, many of the buildings, aluminum foam. Aluminum foam is like creating your foam concrete, how you infuse the foam and air inside the concrete. It's the same way these blocks are done. This foam is injected, air is injected into the molten metal to create this porous material. This is used for cladding and many things in the structure. Then the nanocrystal. This is again very, very strong and strong material. You make quartzite. You might have seen this quartzite stone and all. It can be used to make this very fine shining surface top. So with the use of this nanocrystal, and also for blocking the heat, all this. Then we have translucent wood. Okay, now wood only can be used also in the translucent way, where instead of glass you can use it. So all these are unbreakable. So it is 90% transparent, and also it gives the warmth of the wood. The wood qualities also will be there. allowing the light to pass through this. Illuminating concrete, these are also used. In many places it has been used. They have used it for the pathways. They mix this non-flame energy, minuscule glass balls which close, which absorbs light and reflect it during night time. So the paving can be done. So the paving only will be illuminated. You can know where the paving is there, or the signage is there, or some danger zone is there. We can use this. Then the wool brick. Even this wool brick is used with like mixing the wool with the earth, and this is also very light. So transportation is easier, shifting the blocks will be easier, and then the dead load of the structure becomes very, very light. So and then this is much stronger than our normal bricks or heat fired bricks. This is also a new innovation what is happening in our industry. Then these are the hydroceramic, which self cools itself. These walls are made of 2 layers of ceramic fiber, the hydrogels, and then it can absorb the volume of water. It absorbs water as well as the heat from outside and keeps the interior cool. Biochar is again a material which is made from lot of saw particles and wooden particles, waste particles. These are the new materials and the new technology, construction technology, what we are looking forward, what is going to happen in few this thing. Yeah. So then how we can reduce the impact is by applying all these green building principles, the water efficiency. It improves the water efficiency, energy efficiency, and living condition of the building, of the people inside. Yeah. This is then space we inhabit, and then yes. Thank you for, I think it was a long presentation. Any questions you have, you can ask me. Let me know. Yeah.